a written production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Good evening. I call this exchange meeting to order and ask that you rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the exchange meeting for October. I'm Kat Fimmel, and I'm the president of the 2023 Board of Directors. This meeting is audio and video taped by the RCSC management and staff. Please be advised that there is no recording of this meeting by any individual. Please take a moment to turn off your cell phones and electronic devices and put them in the silent mode. I will try to remember at the end of the meeting to remind you to turn them back on. Now I'd like to take a moment to introduce our Board of Directors. Vice President Karen McAdam.
Good evening.
Secretary Jean Totten.
Good evening.
Treasurer John Fast. Director Steve Collins.
Hello, everyone.
Director John Nowakowski.
Good evening.
It's not working.
Director Denny Nichols.
Good evening.
Director Jeff Darbett. Director Jim Ruff.
Present and accounted for.
Let me introduce the management staff. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our new General Manager, Matthew D. Lazansky. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Kevin McCurdy, the Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening.
Mike Whiprud, the Director of Building and Infrastructure.
On vacation.
Oh, lucky guy. Chris Herring, Director of Operations.
Good evening.
Brian Duthu, Director of Golf and Grounds.
Good evening.
Mike Diermeyer, Director of Bowling.
Good evening.
Joe Lynn Higgins, Communications and RCSC Marketing Coordinator. Beth Lucas, the Communications and Marketing Manager. I don't know if Tammy is still here, but Tammy Kramer, the HR Manager, was here earlier. Marcia Johnson, our Corporate Executive Coordinator.
Good morning. Or good evening.
Okay.
Got up from her nap.
All right. Upstairs in the booth, Teresa Serino, the Director of Events and Entertainment. I also want to recognize Alan Kleinhans and Doreen Rafferty, our audiovisual engineers. And our timekeeper for this evening is Carol Arendt. Okay. And of course, I also want to take a moment to thank the Sundial staff for preparing this room for us this evening. Now I would like to introduce the board candidates. All right. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Ron Kopinski. Jeff Darbett. James Ruff. Connie Jo Rickmeyer. Preston Keiss. Anita Borski. And James McCarthy. Thank you. These are candidates. Thank you. And be seated. we have some topics from the last meeting. Let's start with, and by the way, the topics list was at the back of the auditorium. So if you did not get one and you want one, you can get one after the meeting. Okay. First, we'll start with bowling. There was a request to have Sunday hours. Mr. Diermeyer, what's the status of that?
So we're currently analyzing the business that comes in at noon, and we've been communicating with the people the regulars that come in at noon to see if they're interested in coming early. We're still under consideration on that.
Thank you. The Sun City's property holding went over to legal review. Have we received anything back yet?
Madam President, I talked to Jim Heighton about this. I don't think that he sees a risk in terms of the property holdings legal structure, in terms of any kind of legal risk that would transfer over to our RCSC. So I believe this is closed.
Thank you. Golf issues. The golf issues have been referred to the Golf Advisory Committee, and that committee will be holding a special meeting on October 12th at 1 p.m. in the Sonoran Room at Grand Avenue to discuss a host of golf issues at that time. I believe that's in addition to their regularly scheduled meeting, which will happen the following week. Creating a new golf supervisor position for superintendents. Do we have any comments there?
President Fimmel, for those that golf, they probably do know that we've kind of been moving in that direction for a little bit of time already. Chuck Hippa is originally the superintendent at Lakes East, Lakes West. He's taken on quite a role. He oversees North, Quail Run, Riverview, in addition to Lakes East and Lakes West, and that's the position that we're moving towards now. So he's in charge of several superintendents currently.
Okay, thank you. The Bell parking lot, I know that it's been swept. What's its current status?
The current status is we had the third sweeping of it on Saturday night, Sunday morning, and I've looked at it with several other people, and I'd say it's about 97%. We are going to do a little bit more handwork, and I think it'll be as good as it's going to get for the time being. We're probably going to do some restriping there as well and a few touch-up areas, but it's much better than it was. This is a new material that we were trying this year to add additional thickness to the existing parking lot, and we probably won't be using it again.
Thank you. Future location of the players, we transferred that over to the SAC, and they will be providing follow-up. Do we have, Vice President McAdam, do we have any, have they met? Have they had an opportunity to consider any of this?
So my co-chairs aren't here with us this evening, but the SAC.
Oh, yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Mr.
Aha.
Treasurer Fassy.
We missed you during the greeting round, John.
Glad to be missed.
All right, well, let me turn this over to you then.
Oh, sure. The Players Club has been very good about giving us what their requirements are for the transition, for when we aren't able to provide a space for them. And they've also gone out and looked at the various spaces. So those are all under consideration now.
Thank you. Okay, the remaining three items are related to the budget. We'll start with the PIF capital projects and deferred maintenance. Do we have any updates?
Madam President, we have our Budget and Finance Committee meeting on October 17th. This is a portion of that budget presentation. We will be, presenting our management's recommendations for capital projects and repair and maintenance as part of that budget presentation.
Thank you. A request was made for a list of maintenance projects. I believe that list is actually available on the RCSC website. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're on a monthly basis starting in July. We're posting a status schedule of all of the capital projects that were approved as part of the 2023 budget. That schedule shows the budget, the amount spent to date, the remaining amount, and the status of each and every one of the capital projects from the 2023 budget, and that's available on the website.
Thank you. And the last item that was pending had to do with employee salaries.
Again, that's going to be a component of the Budget and Finance Committee presentation on the 17th. So if people are interested, the meeting is open to members. I would encourage you to attend.
Thank you. And with that, I will open the floor for member comments. Please state your name and your member number, and please be mindful of the 3-minute timer. Thank you.
Try. Harold Berkey, 120038. I'm here to discuss the reopening of Viewpoint Lake. More work was required to rebuild the lake than originally anticipated. Almost no time was lost due to weather, but the official date to reopen the lake has been pushed back numerous times. My friends and I are members of the Sun City Model Yacht Club. We appreciate being allowed to operate our radio-controlled boats on the lake and want it to reopen as soon as possible. I graduated from University of Illinois College of Civil Engineering in 1960. We learned to build roads, bridges, buildings, dams. I had 3 courses in surveying, including 6 weeks in northern Minnesota, mapping and plotting the depth of a lake. A concrete pillar supporting the walkway extending into the lake from the park shows the usual filled lake level. It is marked 10 with lines painted in 1-foot increments below that. It can be seen with binoculars from the shore by the lawn bowling courts. I have been charting the lake level. It has taken an average of 4.5 days to gain 1 foot. Surprisingly, that time has remained constant as the lake surface increased. We have less than 2 feet to go. As of this afternoon, we have 17 inches to go. It should be filled. I made a chart. You can see it's rather crude, but they have a cleaner version, which shows that in theory we're on track to be filled by the 16th. People, when asked about what needs to be done before the lake reopens, have talked about needing it to be full before putting in the dock, floating it around, and mounting it to the supports starting about 10/16, maybe a week. The lake has only 1 boat ramp for putting in pontoons and boats. A locked gate on the ramp is controlled by RCSC. Other items mentioned as needing to be done have nothing to do with the lake being full. 1, the public access area's temporary fences need to be removed now. The reason given at the time they were erected was that the lake rebuild contractor needed access for equipment and as a safety precaution when workmen were working in a particular area. Work started in phase 1, then 2, then 3, which was finished at the boat launch ramp, and the last equipment was removed from the lake. In agreement with the originally stated reason for fences blocking public access, 200 feet of public access was reopened when work was completed near Grand Canyon University a month ago. All remaining temporary fence should be removed as soon as possible to stop further rental costs. What, a week or 2? It takes a lot less time to take something down than it does to put it up. 2, the floating fountains can be installed after the lake is up or later. They've been serviced and moved in the past to have nothing to do with lake level. Waterfalls in the park, same thing. A final consideration. If the average age of residents is about 73, they might hope to enjoy the lake maybe 5 years. Please reopen the lake sooner than 11/1 so they don't lose more than that. I think we have the potential to bring in crane the 18th or 20th, set that dock in. That's allowing extra time even though we're seeding and watering the deals. and we should be able to move this date up a week or two, not back a week or two from 11/1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Johnny Pearson, 131078. I'd like to have some clarification of the members and voting rights of committees, mainly the Golf Advisory Committee. I did some research. The bylaws, Article 8, Paragraph 4, the bylaws may be amended, modified, revised, or revoked by the directors or the members. In the event of conflict concerning bylaws as amended, modified, revised, or revoked by the directors, the action of the members should prevail. Number 5, the bylaws of the corporation shall prescribe the qualification of members and the terms of admission to the membership, providing that the voting rights of all members shall be equal and all members shall have equal rights and privileges and be subject to equal responsibilities. Then under definitions on member privileges, letter J, member privileges are granted member card holders in good standings who may vote, serve on the board or committee, speak at membership and board meetings, join and participate in chartered clubs, receive discounted rates for golf and bowling, attend free RCSC events and entertainment, and use all available RCSC facilities subject to the corporate documents. Owners who cannot meet the member documentation requirements shall not be issued a member card and shall not receive any membership privileges. Going forward to the RC Board Policy Resolution number 17 under golf, it goes into Greens Committee. Each Greens Committee may select 2 members, 1 male, 1 female golfer to represent the golf course on the Golf Advisory Committee, a standing committee to the RCSC Board of Directors. The selected representatives of each committee will attend golf advisory meetings and will have a vote on matters presented to the Golf Advisory Committee. Going down to resolution number 27, in addition to each selected Greens Committee member having a vote on the Golf Advisory Committee, the president of the Sun City Men's Golf Association and the Sun City Women's Association and the Sun City Women's 9-Hole Association will also have a vote. Going to D, Policy Resolution number 27, Golf Advisory Committee. The purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to assist in promotion and interest in the game of golf, encourage fellowship amongst golfers, gather input from card holders, and recommend changes to the board in golf policies. Fees, operation of facilities as results. The Golf Advisory Committee shall direct each golf course Greens Committee. I just want to clarify who can and who cannot be a member of the Golf Advisory Meeting, because I see that the Greens Committees can put people in there, but can other people come and be members, and if they are, do they have voting rights?
Yes, Director Collins. Yes, please.
The policies are very clear that in order to become a member of this golf advisory, you go on the Greens Committee, and then you are appointed by your elected person that you elect once a year to be in charge of each Greens Committee at each course. I think what you're asking is can we just put people on there?
What I'm asking is clarification, because the bylaws, the articles in the bylaws said that any member in good standing can be a member of the board or a member of committees. And then it goes into board policy, who says something else. So you have a hierarchy of what's what.
And golf and bowling are different, and that's why they have the subcommittee, which is the Greens Committee, which you have to go on. Once you're on the Greens Committee, through time or whatever, you will be put into a position where you are the one on the golf advisory that has voting rights.
So
I think the question that you're asking
is clarification
for B17, and B17 is pretty clear, I think. We've not made any changes to it recently, where this is one committee where basically you pick your own. They're not coming from the outside. Basically, as Steve says, you get on a Greens Committee, then the people who run the Greens Committee, these are the people who are on the Golf Advisory Committee. So there's 8 golf courses. Each course gets to pick 1 male, 1 female representative to the Golf Advisory Board. And then you also have 2 additional people. One of them is the president of the SCMGA and the SCWGA, who also each get to have a representative on the Golf Advisory Committee. Typically, members of the Golf Advisory Committee do not come from outside of golf.
I understand all that, and the articles of the corporation said that the bylaws, a member in good standings can be a member of the board and/or committees. It doesn't specify that you cannot be a member of the Golf Advisory. That, in my mind, is a conflict, and that's what I would like to have cleared up.
Madam President?
Mr. Director Collins.
Yes, I have set this up in November, at the November Golf Advisory Committee. This will be what will be discussed by the Golf Advisory Committee, and they will make a determination how they want this to run. Do they want it to be Greens members coming on and having voting rights, or how do they want to do it? If they want to be able to just pick people, then that'll be up to them to tell us in the November meeting. They will all be back, all the Greens committees. That's why I picked that time. And at that point, if they choose to let whoever they want on, then we will have to come back and change BP 17.
I like that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to come up?
Good evening. You're going to get tired of seeing me. Diane Hull, 155953.
Put the microphone a little closer to you.
A little closer. It was reverbing to him, so I was hesitant to do that. Okay, it's my understanding we have the golf issues. Golf Advisory Board meeting Thursday afternoon, and I will be there, Brian. I hope you have a lot of chairs for all the people who are going to be showing up. But I just want to clarify that after that meeting, the Golf Advisory Board is ultimately going to have a recommendation to the RCSC Board as far as the pending motions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Golf is profitable. We're operating on a surplus for more than 3 years now. Look at your turnout. The last 3 meetings, I've spoken at the last 3 meetings. Look at the turnout. You don't get people turning out to your meetings in force when they agree with what you're doing. People turn out in force when they disagree with what you're doing. It's common sense. So we're talking, and I have some conflicting numbers based on the amendments to the motions that were made at the last meeting. The resident passes going to $1,800 from $1,550. That's a 16.1% increase. 16.1% increase. Is anybody ready to pay a 16.1% increase on their mortgage? Is anybody ready to pay a 16.1% increase on anything else? The next resident pass is going from $800 to $925. That in itself is a 16% increase, plus the fee for every time you play up another $1. That's going to turn that into a 19 or 20% increase. To a different motion, the non-resident passes, which does affect me because I have many friends, league members, and a family member who have non-resident passes. And the information that's been put out is that that is going to go from $2,750 to $3,250. Well, the last amount that was paid was $2,250. So that non-resident pass is proposed to go from $2,250 a year to $3,250 a year, which is a 44.5% increase. Is anybody in here ready to pay a 44.5% increase on anything you have a standing engagement for? I'm here to beg, to plead with you. Please don't become like the United States Congress. We are your constituents, okay? We're the ones who elected you to the board. Please represent us. Please pay attention to the turnout you're getting regarding these huge issues. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure that most or all of these will be addressed at the upcoming meeting and the meetings that follow. I do have one question, though, Mr. McCurdy. The concept that golf has been profitable over the past 3 years, is that correct?
Depends on your definition of profitable. From an operating standpoint, correct. From an overall spending standpoint, no. Over 3 years, golf has, since COVID, golf has generated an operational profit or an excess in nonprofit terms. But you have to also look at the amount of money that was spent on capital. And when you take that into consideration, 2022 was the first year in 20, 30 years ever when golf generated sufficient excess operationally to pay for the capital spending. So again, depends on your definition of profitable.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Terry Klatt, 132103. I'll leave the raising of the prices to the Golf Advisory Board because it's been 6 years, so that's probably going to come down the pike. But what I want to talk about is you are raising prices and cutting revenue streams. You want to cut out non-resident passes because somebody couldn't get tee times. That doesn't make any sense to me. Golf courses need rounds, they need tournaments, they need individual daily play. That's their lifeblood. It's not just members. And we're not a private country club. We are not paying anywhere near private country club prices. I don't think the golfers in Sun City could afford to pay private country club type prices to keep all 8 golf courses just for members. It's just not feasible. And as far as prices, people talk about you buy a pass, you get such a low rate because you're playing 5, 6, 7 times a week. Yeah, there's some people that do that. Most of us 3 to 4, maybe 5. But I'm paying that money ahead of time. I'm hedging my bet that I'm going to play enough that it's going to make it worth my while to have put out that money up front. I also take on the responsibility that if I get hurt, if I get sick and I can't play, my per round price might go up to $800, which is what I paid for my pass back in April. And I delayed getting that pass until I saw what my second knee operation did. I didn't want to give up 2 to 3 months worth of playing time by renewing it in January when it was originally due. Also, you've got people, you just put out a memo that said, hey, those people that go to the paid concerts, you can get first choice by paying up front and you get a discount. What is the difference between that and what we're doing with golf?
Thank you.
The other thing is, non-residents are not the boogeyman, and neither are the small groups. The Golf Advisory talked about different changes that they were going to make come fall, basically, because it was late spring and everybody left town, so nobody knows if any of those things are going to work. But you want to blow it up. So give them a chance, let them see if the changes work, make the tweaks necessary, then make some more decisions. But don't just blow it up before you've ever had a chance to even see. And as far as not getting tee times, yes, I've been kicked out of the lottery. The groups that I golf with have been kicked out of the lottery. You call a golf course and you say, hey, do you have any tee times? Yeah, I do. Don't be so narrow-minded that you only want to golf on Wednesday at 8 o'clock at a certain golf course. You've got to have your parameters set. And if you don't understand that, go ask for help on how to set that up. Because I've never not gotten a tee time that I wanted to play.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Dan Braddock, 132389. Let's see if we can change the subject to softball. I am the past president of the Sun City Softball Club, and I've given the board of directors a handout. Should be in front of you, I hope. Thank you. On the back of your handout is a picture of our, I guess you could call it our structure that exists now for the softball club. It was built in 1995, so it's fairly old. Anyway, I decided to give you a little history of our process of trying to get a new clubhouse. And you can read along with me on the front page of the handout. In 2018, we had discussions of the new clubhouse with the RCSC Board of Directors when Jerry Delano was president. And some of you know Jerry, so it was quite a ways ago. Our softball club had outgrown the 1995 structure that contained bathrooms, small bathrooms, a small 6x12 storage room, and an outside scorekeeper's booth. The Board of Directors asked the Long Range Planning Committee to complete a study to see if senior softball was a growing sport and if a new clubhouse was justified. The committee, headed by Lynn Leibolt, completed the study and concluded that senior softball was a popular, growing sport among retired men and women. Going ahead to 2019, the information from the Long Range Planning Committee was given to the RCSC Board of Directors and agreed upon that the softball club should have a new clubhouse that was more functional to the players and the players' needs and compared to the outdated building that exists now. Chris Herring from management met with the softball club officers to start a design of a new clubhouse that could be constructed in the area provided at the softball field. Tom Delopoulos, John Yuki, and I from the softball club designed a building and gave the design to Chris, and he made adjustments according to the square footage and for financing to see if we could afford it. Moving on to 2020, with the cooperation of management and the softball club, a building design was completed. Chris Herring worked hard and finished a very informative packet that he gave to the RCSC Board of Directors. I don't know if that packet was handed on to the new board. Mr. Herring recommended that money in the PIF should be used to construct the 1,732 square foot clubhouse at the estimated cost of $500,000. The RCSC directors approved the building and put on the project list. The existing building, to give you an example, had problems with homeless camping in the scorekeeper's booth because it's outside. They camped, they urinated, they defecated up there. We had to clean up sometimes before games. There have been 5 break-ins and robberies from the Tough Shed buildings. So we've had some trouble down there. It cost us $6,000 to replace what was stolen. The restrooms have also been abused by homeless, and luckily Chris Herring put on the coded door locks so they couldn't get in anymore. Ron Koppas, who's up in Michigan right now, has taken over the communication with the board, the new board, and with management has done a fantastic job of communicating with y'all. So I hope things go well with him. And that's our history.
Thank you.
Hello. Barbara Oliver, 38544. My issue today is with the golf courses as well, but in a little bit different manner. It has to do with the maintenance and the lack of maintenance upkeep along our area where we are. We are on Oakmont, leading up to the 9th hole along the 9th fairway. My home that I've been in for 22 years, and all of my neighbors deal with the continuous leaf droppage from, I believe they're acacia trees, or the acacia family, and the other larger trees that I can't think of. Anyway, they fall continuously. They're in our yard forever. I right now have a pile to the side of my patio that are 12 inches deep. And I can no longer do any work in the yard the way I did for a number of years. I finally had to give that up about 9 years ago. I now have to hire a gardener to come in, and his fee is $450 to clean my front and my backyard. The majority is the backyard, twice a year. That's $900 out of my pocket that I am paying for the debris and the leaves and the branches that are falling off of these acacia trees. I have spoken over the years to maintenance. About a year or so ago, I wrote a letter to Mr. Duthu. I got an answer back from him that said there was not much that could be done. Right this very minute, we have no grass from the edge of our property out approximately 12, 15 feet. It's all dirt. It's covered in leaves and debris. And I really don't know what to do because I'm at the point where I feel like I should be turning bills in to the maintenance department to pay for my gardener. In case you want to know where, it's tree number 404. About last week, I was down by the putting green and clubhouse, and I noticed that the grass down there is beautiful emerald green. There's barely a leaf on it. It's well upkept continuously. We have complained over the years to maintenance to please clean up, put some grass in, clean up the junk. We've even bought our own grass seed a few years back and planted the golf course itself. There was a group out last week. One lady, there were 5 people. One lady was supposedly pulling grass out of the sand trap while everyone else was watching. And one gentleman that I approached said and asked him questions about why can't you take care of this, trim the dead branches up off this. He said he had no answer for any of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, 149031. Good evening, RCS board members. My name is Steve Oberg, and I play Sun City softball. Well, these guys back here are Sun City members. They don't think I play, but all these Sun City softball players can play better than me. So first, thank you for your commitment to Sun City. Serving on any board is a thankless job and requires hours of work and endless listening to patrons. My wife and I moved here 5 years ago, and we are amazed and are still amazed at all the wonderful facilities in Sun City. The beautiful rec centers, golf courses, metal, wood shops, and to all the clubs, including softball. I was a school superintendent in my previous life, and I always tried to have the best school facilities and athletic facilities for my students, parents, and community. And our school facilities never went unnoticed by the neighboring districts. Sometimes that was very hard because many district patrons would vote no on bond elections and comment that those buildings were, quote, good enough for me when I was in school. Well, that's not Sun City. This board and previous boards have continued to upgrade and improve Sun City tremendously. Now is the time to do the same thing for the softball facilities. The current clubhouse, as you heard Ron said, was built in 1995 and has served its purpose well. When I play area softball tournaments, I compare our softball field to one of the best in the area, but our facilities on the outside of the fence are towards the bottom. From the restrooms that do not meet ADA requirements, a PA system you can barely hear the national anthem, no storage for the equipment, and of course the break-ins all the time. The softball field is used 6 days a week, with Wednesday the only non-use day for maintenance. League play is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Saturday is co-ed in the mornings, and the afternoons is for players that work during the week, which we're starting to have a lot more of those. And Sunday is practice. Softball is a draw for Sun City. Since the first of the year, we've signed up 41 new members, and we currently have 235 members. So we do not want to lose future Sun City residents to area retirement communities due to our poor softball facilities. So I urge you on your next meeting to vote to move forward with a softball facility and to still make Sun City softball one of the top facilities in the area. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Colleen Davis, 148026. I want to give feedback regarding the proposed golf changes. I would request that additional information, including financial data and risk assessment, be done on any of these proposals going forward. For additional information, I'd like to see what are exactly the objectives of these proposed changes. I wasn't clear if we were trying to increase revenue. If so, what are we going to spend the money on? They stated capital expenditures, but I'm not clear what are those capital expenditures expenditures, how much is that going to be, and what's the cost-benefit analysis of those expenditures. Also, I'd like to know, as far as if we're trying to reduce non-resident play, was that included? I've spoken to many members who stated, well, these changes are going to help us reduce non-resident play. Well, actually, they're not. So that's kind of misleading to a lot of people that we're going to agree to these changes without understanding that wasn't even included. Also, providing financial data as far as if we're increasing revenue, where is the money going to go, and then how can we actually ensure that we're going to be able to keep that revenue. A risk assessment needs to be done, because if we're increasing the cost, what happens if the rounds are reduced and we don't get increased revenue? Then what are we going to do? Also, as far as what happens during the summer months when we know that we have low rounds and usage. If we increase costs, we're not going to be guaranteed to having any increased revenue during the summer, and then how are we going to handle that? Again, as someone stated, the least I've seen is a 16% increase in the golf rates. So to me, with the current rate of inflation today, it's actually 3.7%. So I don't understand where the 16% comes through and that we expect to pass that on to our membership. That's kind of an outrageous amount at this point without actually any financial data or objectives to actually prove that that would even be helpful. So again, I think that we have, the more information and data we get, the better our decisions will be, and actually to help resolve some of the membership issues, because without understanding why we're proposing these changes, then it's very hard to get on board with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Atwood, 106547. It's been 6 years since they've increased the fees. 6 years. Over the 6 years, people here at Social Security, your COLA has increased 24%. Your income has increased 24%. The golf course deserves that also. Everybody deserves that. It's cost of living. It should be put into account when we're doing our fees. Maybe instead of every 6 years, it should be 4 years. We're probably 2 years behind. An example is if you're on Social Security 6 years ago, you were only getting $1,000 a month. Well, your increase, your monthly increase is now $242 more than what you made 6 years ago. That's almost $3,000 a year than what you made 6 years ago. At $2,000 a month 6 years ago, your monthly increase is increased up to $284 a month. That's almost $6,000 a year that your Social Security has increased in 6 years. But then you're denying the golf course any increase. Right now, the annual golf courses is $1,550. I think that they should be looking at increasing all the fees to that 24%. That would adjust our fees to $1,900, basically. That $1,900 from the $550, it would increase basically $350 a year. If you've golfed every day, that increases your golf $1 a round. If you're golfing 3 days a week with that $1,900, that $350 increase, your golf at 3 days a week has increased by $2.25 a round. Wow, I mean, what, you're making another $6,000 more than you did 6 years ago. Let's give the RCSC a break. So I think the board should put up that they should, every 4 years, should be looking into raising the fees. And they should look at COLAs for one thing and the maintenance. And they can rely on, say, here it is. Here's the Social Security cost of living. We live by this. Our economy is run by that. Let's use that to raise our rates. It's more than 16%, sorry, but that's fact. That's what it is. As far as non-resident fees, I don't think you should just put an end to that. I think what you should do is stop it for 1 year. You should keep it on the books just in case something happens, a COVID outbreak or something, we lose golfers, who knows what. And then when that outbreak's over, the government says we can come back and play, then you can go back and you can get outside monies. But don't just take it off forever, because then it takes forever to get it back on. Just say, no, don't sell any more non-resident yearly fees for a year. And again, I think the board needs to put up something to where they'll evaluate all the fee increases every 4 years and use the SSA COLA for an example of how much to increase that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a wonderful analysis.
Tom Swenson, 135906. I have questions today about SAC regarding contracting, transparency, and the appearance of conflict of interest. In July, the SAC committee asked for 3 things from an architect and a civil engineer. They wanted to know what a new PAC, a performing arts center, would cost at Mountain View. Can Mountain View be renovated? And what would a new theater at Lakeview look like? And what would be the cost of all 3? At a later meeting, as prep for the architect, there were delays getting the architect. In prep then for the architect to come, not a civil engineer and an architect, there were a few extra questions that were asked, but basically it was the same questions, but only wanting to add in like ADA questions and so forth. Jeff Darbutt told me that the delay for the architect was due to the board leaders on SAC being unable to come to a decision on the architect. And later in that discussion, he mentioned that he knew an architect who was great at renovations and you wouldn't necessarily have to build new, which kind of threw me because I hadn't heard that much before. So finally, Marlene, the architect, arrives. And unsolicited by the committee members, she begins to present the idea of a master plan for both Lakeview and Mountain View, which I could tell was quite puzzling to some of the SAC members. She presented the idea, okay, in the Mountain View, Marlene exclusively talked about renovating the current building. There was no real discussion, and she kept being pressed a bit on a new building, and she pretty much offhand said that's too expensive, like off with their hats, which again was like confusing. And delays were continued and still continue to this day, where she has not even yet given the numbers. The reason we got an architect and a civil engineer was to find out what the rough estimates of costs would be, and we still don't have those numbers and won't have them until the 20th, I believe. And then I was also told by Marlene that she had been contracted, I believe she said June, maybe she said July, but that she couldn't get around to doing the project because of other commitments until September. So that concerned me because I'd gotten 2 clearly different answers from Mr. Darbutt and from Marlene as the reason for the delays. So concerned about these discrepancies, I brought up at the last exchange, I believe, that why would the contract be available to present to all SAC members as part of the general meeting? What does that say? I'm sorry.
You've reached your time, sir.
Oh, okay. That's hard to believe, but okay.
Okay. After everyone else has had an opportunity, we'll certainly be glad to have you back.
Good evening. Harry Emerson, 130678. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I wanted to respond to a couple points that were brought up. As far as the excess that's been talked to and briefed, to me that is somewhat of an oversight in strategic communications. And every time I see that slide, I just want to shiver and shake. The reason we have an excess is because we're paying our guys $14 instead of 17. We're obviously not buying enough weed and application and pre-emergent. We could buy more seed so I could have my surrounds and the fairway landings, and I could go on to a number of other areas. The excess just does not exist, in my humble opinion. In a previous life, as I was developing excess between 11 p.m. on September 30th and midnight, I spent millions of dollars. And I've been after Brian for a couple years now. As that money it generates, let's go buy things. And then we will not have that excess. On the inflation comment, if you look at the Federal Reserve numbers, Over the last 6 years, these proposed rates of 16% don't even come close to covering the inflation. So there's quite a bit of analysis on the numbers and how we do this and how we do that and where that arc crosses the rate of inflation and what we can improve these courses with the proposed numbers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Carol Harrington, 113970. I also was not going to speak tonight. The first thing I would like to say is thank you for having an evening meeting. We frequently make noise about how you don't accommodate us as members. This is one that was asked for, and you did it. That's why the biggest reason I'm here. I wanted to show you that we notice. Second thing is this golf thing. I'm sorry, Diane, but 44% increase for your friends and whoever else is about right from what they've been paying compared to what surrounding courses charge. They come here because it's so frickin' cheap. That's the bottom line. I don't want to get rid of outside play, outside resident passes. I just want them to pay their fair share. We can't keep asking the members to pay increases, which, by the way, I am willing to pay. I have the year-round pass. I am willing to pay more. It's valuable to me. But I think we have to look at the issues of, we've had Social Security increases, we haven't come up as fast. The main last thing, might not be the last thing with my brain, is that the money go back into golf. Those areas that lady was talking about, Mrs. Oliver, I know eventually that area is probably slotted to have that beautiful xeriscape that we don't have to water. But I'm with the guy too that said, let's buy some things. Let's buy a roller. Let's pay our people a decent wage so that they'll stay with us and so that they care. I wouldn't care very much sitting on that mower for 14 bucks an hour. Okay, I'm going to stop. 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Bill Pearson, 133438. Thank you for mentioning constituents, because here's who they are. Everybody in this room, the other 31,892 or whatever the number is that aren't here, and then those people that buy the privilege cards. You know who aren't your constituents? People that live in Peoria, Surprise, and Glendale. They have no rights. Oh, wait a minute. We saw a guy at the September meeting charge the mic who said, I'm not a resident, but I have my rights. No, sir, you have no rights. Thank you for telling them that, Kat. They have no rights. I love the argument. I don't want to get into it. But the simple reality is, Kevin McCurdy is right. $60 million in the last 20 years between PIF and capital expenses have gone to golf. I'm not opposed to it. Our golf courses need more. But you know who you have to ask to pay it? Those 28,000 people that don't golf. Because the guys that are paying $12 a round are going, don't charge me. I like my $12 rounds. So I love percentages. I really do. And I hate numbers, but I love percentages because 16.1% with that increase. In 2011, the rate for the full play pass was $14.50. Over 12 years, it went up $100. $100 in 12 years. You can do the math. It's about an 1/8 of a percent or a 1/12 of a percent a year. Oh, and here's the rest of the story. The daily walk-in players, those that aren't buying the surcharge or the full play pass, got 11 increases of $1 a time. So they went from 24 to 35, and we just said, you guys subsidize us because we don't want to pay more. I trust the Golf Advisory Committee to make good decisions on everything but this. A non-resident has no rights in this community. I've paid $4,200 in PIF. A lot of it went to golf. I'm fine with that. They've paid nothing. A portion of my $525 fee is going to get kicked back into capital expenses for golf because one guy, one of the board members, is arguing, well, it's just those expenses, the capital doesn't count. Okay, but then you're going to ask me to pay it. That means I'm going to subsidize your cheap golf, but do not, as a board, ask me to subsidize somebody living in Peoria, Surprise, or Glendale. Do not ask me to subsidize their golf. It's illogical, it's criminally insane, and it's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't planning to speak tonight either. Hello, I'm Mary Rorvik. My number's 166674, and I'm here to talk about the great big elephant in the room called pickleball. I am one of the new residents of Sun City. I moved here a year ago. I've been visiting my parents down here for over 30 years and was here when there was all grass and little round trees with the oranges in it everywhere. Yeah, you all remember those days. So anyways, the reason I'm here is because I'm a passionate pickleball player. I work full-time from home, and we need more pickleball courts, people. There's over 1,100 of us in this club. And if you look at Pebble Creek and some of the other retirement communities, what do they advertise? I'm sorry, golfers, it's not golf, and my parents are passionate golfers. It's pickleball. That's why I moved here, besides the community being great, but I'm a full-timer, and I played pickleball in 99-degree weather at 6 o'clock in the morning. I still played, but we need, with these rising temperatures of over 110 for 90-plus days, we need to have some pickleball courts that have some air conditioning. So we want those 25 courts, and we need them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anita Gordon, 136, Anita Borski, that's my maiden name. Oh my God. I'm so happy my husband's not here. I know it's only been 20 years, but sooner or later I'll learn. I'm here to speak for the softball players. Hard to believe, looking at me, that I used to be one of the biggest softball players. I played bar leagues. I played for blood. I quit when I broke my ankle. Last week I met a softball player, and he asked me what I thought about the softball construction. Yeah, I said, I really don't know a whole lot about it, but I'll look into it. And not to repeat what they've said already, but I did look, and I understand you sent out bids several times, and every time they've come back over budget. I don't think we have a bid problem. I think we have a budget problem. The world has changed. Construction has gone through the roof. We're never going to get a bid to match our budget. It's not going to happen. I've been told that the lake project came in about $500,000 under budget, and the shortfall for softball is around $350,000. I think you have an opportunity that you just can't ignore anymore. Combine those two budgets, combine those two projects, and still have some money that you can put back in PIF. It's a win-win situation for everyone. I understand you have a fiduciary responsibility, but that doesn't mean you just stash money in the corner. Fiduciary means simply that you'll hold somebody's money in trust and spend it only on that person. And that's what you're doing. You're taking members' money and spending it on the members. The board has the power to correct this problem in one simple transfer of that money in the PIF budget. Move it from the lake to the softball and get this project done. It'll never be cheaper than it is today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Judy Barrett, 131998. And while I think, yes, pickleball is great. Yes, all these things are wonderful. I want to know is what kind of schedule you have to maintain what we currently have. I mean, you listen to softball, what they had has fallen apart. I don't know if you've been to Fairway Pool. The deck is crumbling. It's been crumbling. It's dirty, it's filthy. They put black mats by the spa because the whole deck has crumbled away. It's going to cost a fortune to do this. Why are we not maintaining what we have? I don't understand that. That's what puzzles me. Yeah, we want to build this, we want that. Hey, I want a new house, but I can't afford it. But I have to maintain what I have. So that's where I'd like to see our money go. And I'd like to see, I mean, I asked about Fairway last year when we were there, and go and look at it. The whole deck around the pool is crumbled away. The whole bottom of the pool is all chipped. It's yellow. It's an embarrassment. That's what it is. The city pools don't look like this. So that's what I want to know. Who sets up the schedule to maintain what we have so that it doesn't get so bad that it costs us a fortune to fix it? That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. McCurdy, do you want to take a moment to talk just a little bit about deferred maintenance?
I'd love to. So traditionally, we've spent in the range of $2 to $3 million a year on capital projects, which I think everybody could understand is insufficient for the amount of assets and facilities and swimming pools and golf courses that we have here. In the 2024 budget, we are recommending that the capital project budget be increased to about $7 million. That will give us a lot more opportunity and ability to keep up with asset maintenance, repairs, et cetera. So this is an issue that we've been discussing in depth and at length all summer at the Budget and Finance Committee meetings. And in 2 weeks, we're going to be going through the budget proposal, which will include $7 million, one project of which is the Fairway Pool deck. So that's the plan.
And Mr. McCurdy, how long will it take us to get to some of these projects?
The 2024 projects?
Just the deferred maintenance generally.
I mean, the plan is obviously to complete all of the projects on that list in 2024, where, you know, for the 2023 projects, I kind of liken it to the rat going through the snake, right? We start the projects on January 1, when the budget is formally approved. There's a lot of work that goes into things before the actual project is begun. We have to go out, we have to scope the project, we have to get bids, we have to select a vendor, we have to schedule the project. So if you watch the amount of money that's being spent on those projects, the bulk of it falls in Q4 when these projects are being completed. So we're looking to change that a bit in 2024 and get an earlier start on that. But again, the way our budget is set up, we really don't have formal approval as management to start projects until the budget is formally approved with a second reading at usually the November board meeting. So once that second reading is approved, we can get started. But again, that generally results in projects being completed late in the year of that budget.
Yes, Secretary Totten.
Mr. McCurdy, do we still have projects from other years?
Yes.
What years?
We probably have a couple projects from 2021 and several from 2022 that we're still working on.
And you mentioned that the figure of deferred maintenance is $20 million?
Overall, yes, that's a very approximate number. That's coming off of our reserve analysis, but that's a reasonable estimate of the amount of capital projects that we need to complete over the next few years.
And then I have one more question. How much money is in the carry forward account?
Right now, about $11 million.
And that is because it was money left over from previous years.
In general, the carry forward, you know, everybody knows I despise that word, but it's excess. It's cash that we've made in prior years as excess because we came in favorable to budget, which we do pretty much every year. And that money is in our bank account, in our investment account, to be used for the proverbial rainy day. And we're going to start tapping into that.
Thank you.
Director Ruff, did you have a comment?
Gene asked the question I was going to ask because I want the members to hear that we have a large backlog of deferred maintenance. And it would be my goal that that is caught up within the next 5 years. And we're working on a 5-year, I can't remember what John calls it.
Strategic plan?
Thank you. 5-year strategic plan, so we have a budget that kind of rolls out, and then each year updated for the actual year's budget, but we have add the 5th year on the back end, so we are projecting our way forward and what we're doing and maintaining our lovely places the way they should be maintained, and hopefully no more fairway deck pools that look like crap. Thank you.
Yes, Director Nowakowski.
Thank you. Kevin McCurdy, I hate that term also of the carry forward, but in that 11 million, the projects that are outstanding from 2021, 2022, and 2023 are included in that 11 million. So it's not an extra 11 million. It's 11 million. Something has to be subtracted from all the other stuff that we didn't get done in 2021, 2022, and this year. So people think that there is this magic ball of money that is sitting out there. And we've heard numbers from the 11 million, and then there's numbers of 17 million. Yeah, the 17 million. There's a $5 million, $5.3 million reserve and a $2.5 million reserve. You put all those together, and all of a sudden, oh, there's $18 million, there's $19 million, there's $20 million. Unfortunately, there isn't. It's more like some magic numbers thrown in to make it look a lot better than it is.
May I ask?
Secretary Totten.
One more question, Mr. McCurdy. If I had lots of money and instead of giving you, was it 7 million?
Correct.
If I gave you 15 million, would that work to catch us up?
We've talked about this at our Budget and Finance Committee meetings. We're trying to be reasonable with the increase that we can take on. Going from 3 million to 15 or 20 million in 1 year wouldn't work. It would be just too much, too fast. We're trying to find that steady state number that allows us to maintain our facilities at a good quality without spending too much or too little. That's going to require a little bit of tweaking here and there, but I think that somewhere in that 5 to 6 million a year level, I think that's the right amount that we should be putting into capital. Could we spend 20 million in 2022? Yeah, but I would probably kill everybody in my budget or my building and infrastructure group because that amount of an increase in that short a period of time is asking way too much. So we're trying to get to that happy medium of increasing the spend rate to do better at maintaining our facilities without getting so much so fast that we just fall apart in terms of the staffing.
Thank you.
Do we have?
Can I say something?
Yes, Treasurer Fast.
Yes, thank you. Hey, I just want to compliment Kevin and his team. this is the most transparent budget that Sun City has ever had. And I remember back a few years ago, you couldn't even ask a question about a budget. And right now, it's all laid out there. The management and the Finance and Budget Committee and the Golf Advisory Committee are all working hand in hand to do the best that they can for Sun City. And I just have to compliment it. It's a wonderful effort.
Do we have more comments? Dan, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Dan Haberman, 135157. I too was not planning on speaking tonight, but some of my fellow pickleball players seem to not be quite as aggressive at the microphone as they are on the pickleball court. This isn't the first time I've spoken in front of a board. I've done it for several years. I've told the board that we need more pickleball courts, that we're the fastest growing sport in America. And the board says, yeah, Dan, you're right. We need more pickleball courts. I've spoken to management, including the previous general manager, Bill Cook. I've had meetings in his office. Dan, you've got the fastest, biggest growing sport in the world. You need more pickleball courts. That's what I've heard, and yet I haven't seen any more pickleball courts. I'm now on the SAC committee. Myself, Director McAdam, we've provided data until more data and more data and more data that shows that you need more pickleball courts in Sun City. And yet I'm not convinced that this SAC committee is going to come up with a solution to give the number of pickleball courts that are needed for the community of Sun City. So I'm hoping, I would love to just have this huge line of people behind me to come up and keep speaking to you. But guys, if you're here tonight to speak on having more pickleball courts, would you at least stand up? So there are at least a few people. If you'd like to hear them all speak tonight, I'm sure I can go around and convince them all to do that. So I know they've sent you guys some emails. I don't know what else to do. Hey, Dan, what do you need? We could use 75 to 100 pickleball courts according to the data that Director McAdam can provide you. We're asking for 45. We've got 20 at the Marinette. We need 45 more in pickleball courts. This lady also mentioned, the only pickleball would grow immensely if we had some indoor courts that were air conditioned. We keep talking about a wow factor. You want a wow factor in Sun City? Build some air-conditioned pickleball courts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lori Ellingson, member number 133335. I, first of all, would like to thank the current board for all your time, all your energy, all your efforts, everything that you have done to help improve the community and get it back on track. I'm not sure if everyone here realizes how much time that you have put in, especially the extra meetings, the SAC meetings, the finance meetings that you have done. So you deserve an extreme round of applause, and I thank you very much. I moved here in 2015. My parents moved here in 1997. So I have been in the Sun City area for quite some time, participated in a lot of activities, golf, pickleball, tennis, you name it, I've done it. I would like to point out the recent article, September 27th, in The Independent by our president, Kat Thimble. A couple of highlights. She states, "We have the opportunity of a lifetime to shape our community and to chart a course that will prepare us for the future. The willingness of our members to be informed on issues and to become active participants in the process of self-governance." I'm not sure if everybody realizes, but we are not a city, and we are self-governed. So everyone, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for bringing the issues out in the open. And also, thank you for coming forward with some solutions. I have a couple of things that I want to address, and I'm running short of time. The most important thing is change is inevitable. Progression is a choice. And the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So please remember that old ways won't open new doors, and common sense is like deodorant. The people who need it most never use it.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Yep, I'll be real quick here. But before everybody leaves, I want to just tell everybody this Saturday is the Posse's 50-year Jubilee at their headquarters. Please stop by and visit them. And also is the Men's Club open house, and they are our biggest charity fundraisers, the Men's Club. So please stop and see them. And the Posse from noon to, I think it's like noon to 3. So please stop in.
And before everybody starts to leave, I just wanted to know, by maybe a show of hands, do you like having a nighttime meeting? Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much. I wanted to make sure it just wasn't because of golf or pickleball or softball.
Okay, more comments from the members, please.
There was people brought up, Floyd Cummings, 108-620. It was brought up about pickleball courts. Does pickleball pay anything? Does pickleball bring any income in for this? Does the Players Club bring any income in for this? Does tennis bring it in? No. They don't bring a red cent into the budget, yet they want this and they want that. I think there should be a charge for them. And that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that opinion, sir. I would just point out briefly that when we founded the community, there were only 2 groups that were determined to be self-sustaining, and one was bowling and one was golf. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Lloyd Ryman, 159-245. And I was wondering, you guys closed my golf course on me. This is down at Mountain View. I don't know why you guys just don't put carpet down there, open it back up. You're not going to have construction for a couple of years, and that's the best course I think you got out here. So I just think, get some carpet down there. It ain't a lot of money compared to what you're going to spend. So the fun that people have with that course, and just to leave it vacant does not make sense. You know, you raised our fees $25 last year, and you took stuff away and never even tried to fix it. And that ain't the way you should be.
Thank you.
I agree.
Ma'am, before I take on a second rounds. Is there anybody that wants to speak that hasn't spoken? Yes, sir.
Matt Grunauer, 166425. I want to comment on pickleball. I'm new to pickleball, if 2 years is new, but I love it. And I'm there 4 days a week. And a lot of times, it's hard to get court time. With the new projects that are supposedly going to be happening, that have been talked about for year after year after year after year, hopefully there will be some resolution to that. But in that resolution, I hope that we can add 25 pickleball courts. The other thing I'd like to comment about is golf. These are my two favorite sports, by the way. I've been in Sun City for 8 years now. I had an aunt that was here in 1995, so I've been out here more than just prior to 2015. The problem with these increases that are being proposed by golf is it's all at once. Why can't these things be planned for so that the increases are only a few percentage points a year as opposed to 16, 18, 20% all at once? Granted, it's been the same rate. I'm a partial member. I pay $800 a year. I pay $5 for greens fees for 6 months and $7. It's great. But to go from $800 to $925 or $950 or $975 is a lot. When the upcoming COLA increase for Social Security is probably going to be 3 to 3.5%. So if increases were implemented over the course of time, it wouldn't cause such frustration and anger. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, Kevin Christensen, 148928. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the Mountain View and that project going on. Unlike most people here, I don't have an agenda on any of this stuff. I'm not a big pickleball, I'm not a big softball, none of that stuff. But I just want what's best for Sun City, and hopefully people will make some decisions on what is the best for Sun City rather than what's best for their individual group. I think when it's all done, what most people want is just a rec center that they can really be proud of, something that they can enjoy and can be proud of the fact that they're from Sun City. I kind of like the way when they did Marinette and they said we're going to keep some of the old stuff and we're going to put some of the new things in there. I think Sun City or Mountain View fits into that. I think you keep the golf, you make a few adjustments to it. Pickleball, you've got room there. The way I go out there and I walk it off, you've got room there. You could put like 12 courts in there without too much work. I think the pool and the spa, I'd love to see a brand new pool there. You know, some of the plans that they had a couple years ago, but with the cost and everything, I understand that some of that things can't be done. But I do believe that you could fix the pool and make it so it's, again, a place you could be proud of, because it is a really nice pool. I do think we need to do two things there. One, you do need a fitness center. The one we have is, well, pubs, we'll just say it's not very good. I think that should get taken down, and I think the area where the theater should be taken down. And I think the two things that you do then spend the bulk of your money on, if you're looking at, you want to change Mountain View, you want to not just have something that, you know, we fixed a couple things here and there, but we actually have a nice, really nice rec center that people would like to go to. I think you need to put a new fitness center in there, and I think you need to put that's the obvious place for the, in my opinion, for the theater. You know, you've got, and now if I look at it, if I do this right, it looks like you can add to pickleball, the golf, the pool, those would all be not brand new things, but the new things then would come in with if you had a fitness center the size of Mountain View's, and if you had a theater The seats say to 300 to 400. And then it's just something that I think this community could really be proud of rather than just trying to piecemeal a few things together. And I think the kind of the anchor to that would be if you did put in a new fitness center and a new pool, or excuse me, a new fitness center and the theater. So thank you for your time. Thank you for all you've done for the groups. Thank you for all the time you guys put in also. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more first-time speakers? Mr. Svensson.
Well, I have gotten heated, but I don't think I've ever said anything like criminally insane, but that's another point. When last we were here, I was talking about the fact that I was concerned about discrepancies I was seeing in the contracting, because the members had asked for one thing, clearly Marlene was delivering something else. The timelines of when the contracting was done was not clear. There were two different stories, one from Mr. Darbutt and one from Marlene and so forth. So I says, why don't we have the contract be put on the SAC website and on all the materials for SAC available? The first people who should know what's going on with that contract are the SAC members, to know what they had contracted. Well, I had to go through the process of requesting the documents. So I did that. Interestingly, it took, there's a long story here, but it took 7 business days for me to finally get that document when the paperwork says I should expect it within 3 to 5 days. So that was puzzling to me. And when I looked at it, clearly it said everything that Marlene was delivering, which was comprehensive new plans for Lakeview and Mountain View. There was nothing about the original request by the SAC members in that contract. The contract itself was a little screwy in that it was more like a memo of lists of services with 2 signatures at the bottom, one by President Fimbel and one by Marlene. And puzzling to me was neither signature had a date by it. I don't know of any contract that does not have a date attached to the day of signing. I learned it was $15,000 plus $1,000 in expenses, which I don't think anybody knew. I had a lot of trouble. The delay in getting the contract was what I heard was that it was hard to find the contract. Nobody seemed to know where the contract was. So this is all concerning to me. So I guess my point is, I find this all really troubling because you've touted yourselves as a transparent board. This has not been transparent, number one. Number two, there are still contradictions and confusing information amongst the members. And lastly, I am concerned about the conflict of interest between Mr. Darbutt and Marlene, because if you Google their names, they come up as working on projects before. Now, that's not a crime. But I know that part of our rule says we will not have the appearance of a conflict of interest. And where was that relationship disclosed, and where was the competitive bidding for a $16,000 contract? That's my question.
Who do you want to take that on? I mean, you went and talked about
Maybe I could just respond a little bit quickly to that, Tom. And because I was a little bit involved in the process, we actually spent a fair amount of time soliciting bids, and we got 3 different bids from 3 different architects. And we looked at the scope of work and the charges that they had, and Marlene not only had the largest scope of work, she also had the lowest cost. So that was the reason that we ended up going with her. I think she made it pretty clear that she was willing to offer us her work at a discount now, in the hopes that she said this is just exactly the kind of project that she would like to have in the future. There's no obligation for us to move in that direction whatsoever, but we're having a good chance to be exposed to the kind of work that she does. And I guess I just want to say, because you've raised issues about whether there was some kind of collusion in selecting her, and I guess I would like to say I have no prior connection with her at all, but when I compared, we actually spoke with 4 different architects and had 3 different bids come in, and we chose to go with her, and I don't believe that it had anything to do with prior relationships.
Change in the scope of the information requested?
I'd just like to, if I could.
Yes, Treasurer Fast.
Yeah, I just like to echo that, that when we started this act, we had 0 budget, as most committees don't have a budget. And we got through a fair amount of really hard work and determined that we really needed expert advice. Typically, this process can take upwards of 6 months to a year, and we knew we didn't have that time. We solicited bids. We also looked at all their portfolios, Tom, and what work they've done. And so I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of taking offense at you casting dispersion on that, because I think Marlene's done a great job. And she's basically walked in, said, okay, I'm going to facilitate, and I will give you ideas, and I'll do this all at a discount. So if you want to cast dispersions on her, go ahead. I think she's done a great job.
Okay. Ma'am, go ahead.
Do I have to say my number again?
Yes, you do.
Okay, it's Mary Rorvik again. I'm with the Pickleball Club. And I just had a thought. I'm part of the, I'm 166674. I'm part of that next generation that moved here. I'm a Gen Xer. And the reason I moved here is because of the activities that are available to do. The people that play softball, they probably moved here to play softball besides other activities, and the golfers to play golf. Well, that next generation, there's a lot of us out there that are getting closer to retirement and are 55 and over, and we came here to play pickleball. And when I came here, I paid a pretty sizable fee, like all of us do when we first buy real estate. If we don't have activities that have a vision of the future, it's basic economics, supply and demand. If we don't have the activities that attract that next generation, the real estate won't keep selling for the prices and maintain those same levels that we have. And so that's my point about the economics of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing, folks? Do we need a break? No, we're good? Okay, go ahead and continue, sir.
Yeah, Richard Atwood, 106547. Just to kind of support the guy that asked why we're not charging for pickleball, and to, let's see, so Madam President, so pickleball was here when this RCSC was created? I mean, when the golf course was here, bowling alley was here, they just said just the bowling alley and the golf course had to be self-sufficient. And they didn't say pickleball had to be self-sufficient? Because it wasn't here.
I don't think back in the 1960s they had pickleball. My point was that the founders had established the capability of both bowling and golf to be self-sustaining.
Right, and they should be.
When pickleball was created,
then you need to establish new rules for pickleball. It should be updated. Yep. Just like everything else, it should be updated. You're going to spend tens of millions of dollars maybe on pickleball and get no income from pickleball. You need to look at that, because a lot of people are getting a little angry that, oh, you're spending all this money, you're taking away property that could be used for something else. 25, 45 pickleball courts, where's it going to go? Well, it's going to take land away from somebody. I'm not sure. So I think this is a new venue, a new type of venue that we have to support. So now you have to look at it and say, well, then maybe it should be self-supporting too. You need to look at that, or at least pay to play. I mean, you got to be fair, right? Because you're not being fair right now by just saying, oh, well, you don't have to pay for that. I don't think you're being fair to the other people here.
So Richard, if I could just respond to that briefly. You know, there is the possibility of considering a pay-to-play scheme, but I don't think there's another 55-plus community in the entire country that charges its people. Are we going to start charging to use the pools, charging to use the rec center, to use the fitness activities? All those things we actually, the general rule is that you pay a fee, a facilities agreement when you buy property here, saying that this is what we pay annually and these are the facilities that we expect to have in return. And everything is in one basket except for the 2 items of golf and bowling, which are revenue-generating sports. So as much as I appreciate what you're saying, I think to selectively pick out, well, we think that this group, you know, we think that the clay corner should start paying for this, or we think that pickleball should start playing, or we start thinking, I don't think that that's a direction that we want to go. I mean, we could move to that format and completely eliminate our property assessment, but that would be quite out of the ordinary for us to move in that direction.
Well, I'm not asking to start charging these other courses. I mean, if I want to go do the metal shop, I'm going to have to join or do something metal. I can't just go in there and start making stuff. I can't go into the wood shop and make cabinets. I can't do that. I have to pay a fee to go do that. That's a pay to use.
Well,
I can't do that for free.
Pickleball also has a club. If you join the pickleball club, you pay a fee very, very similar to, it's a $20 fee per year, or 15, I can't remember which it is, which is very similar to what you would pay to be a member, for instance, of the Bell Woodworking Club.
Well, but the woodworking club, you have to be a member to go use the woodworking club. I don't have to be a member to go use the pickleball club. I can just go pay for free. I just got to go
That's
check
true.
in.
The same way that you can go and use a swimming pool or a fitness center for free.
That's
exactly.
True. But now it's a new venue and we're spending a lot of money on it, and I think that's the concern of people.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Do we have any more comments?
Yeah, I guess I'd just like to make one clarification.
Yes, Treasurer Fast.
I believe the villages do charge for pickleball.
Okay.
Anita Borski, I know my name this time, 136312. I am on the SAC committee. I've worked for state government for 35 years. I've worked with governors, students, families, cohorts, legislators. I have never worked on such a hard committee in my life as the SAC committee. Someone is going to be mad in the end. We have so much money and we have so much land. We can't make everybody happy. It's not going to happen. We're doing the best we can do. And if somebody's got better answers, we have a meeting October 20th. Please come and help us get through this. We've been working on it since late April. We're tired. We want to be done and we want to get a recommendation out. But if somebody has an answer, we're all there waiting for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more? Go ahead, Lori.
So Albert Einstein says the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. I would like to see Sun City changing with the trends, national trends. I spent a lot of my summer in Iowa and Colorado. Everywhere I went, there were many, many pickleball courts that were being built, a lot of indoor climate-controlled pickleball facilities. So my questions are for the SAC committee to think about, and I would love to have answers at the next meeting. A few of the issues that would help support the idea of keeping Mountain View as a rec center and adding more pickleball courts. How confident can we be that decision-making regarding building at Mountain View will reflect actual data trends? There's around 15 different indoor pickleball facilities that have either been built or are under construction right now in the Phoenix area as we speak. Is there any reason that the board would refuse to consider building our own indoor and climate-controlled pickleball facility? Treasurer Fast.
Yes.
I understand that you stated at a SAC meeting that the architect is not exploring the construction of an indoor pickleball facility. You further said that she would not do so. Could you please explain that directive?
I don't recall saying that, Lori, but I think I've been working with a number of groups in terms of the pickleball and a number of individuals to make sure that the trends and the actual utilization of our existing courts are fully transparent and fully taken into account in any decision made. And I just want to compliment Chris Herring, because he has provided just fantastic utilization data, and we've got people out looking at trend data, and I'll tell you right now, the trend all say that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the world.
Okay, thank you very much. And one last question. Is the board really planning to allow 20-some members of the SAC to ignore the claims of the pickleball because the SAC committee was only represented by one person? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other member comments?
Good evening. Tim Hatzenbeller, 151650. Thank you for an evening. I appreciate it. It's great to talk to people, great to see people. I just wanted to touch on two things. The gentleman that spoke about the lake and the urgency of getting it open and limited time and all that, I agree with completely. But I was wondering, the ramp that allowed you to bring your own boats and things like that, or canoes or inflatables in. Is there any way to make that RF tagged or sensor tagged like over at Doofyland, so you don't have to go to a gate and just have it open at certain intervals of time and just use your card? So just a thought, so you don't have to deal with going over. The other one, I'm really surprised by the softball and the homeless thing being that prevalent. It seems like if you build something or what we have, it would be really nice if we could secure that in some way, because that's really unfortunate. I feel bad for them. If I didn't have a hamstring issue, I'd be sitting over there, guys. Yeah, so I agree with you. 51. So what do? I play table tennis, I play pickleball, tennis. I was gonna go do the woodworking class just so I don't cut my fingers off. My wife does pergamano, she does cross stick, she does card embroidery, calligraphy. She absolutely loves her club, so we utilize all types of things in here. Completely agree. I agree with having our non-residents pay a little bit more. I like the idea of graduating the rates and stuff. Pickleball, just to touch on that one a little quick, I would probably say it's hot here. People play in the morning. They play it at pockets of time, right? So there are a lot of times where the courts aren't being utilized. But during the windows when people can actually play and not burn alive and get skin cancer, you have very limited number of play opportunities. So courts are important unless you do climate control, because it's still too hot to play in Marinette. You have the sun coming through, it's blinding, it's dangerous. So if we could get a climate controlled thing, then maybe you don't need as many courts, because people could play throughout the entire day and not be limited to early morning from 6 o'clock in the morning to the time that they suggested. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any final comments?
Matt Grunauer, 166425. The RCSC fee annually is $525. That's $43.25 a month. You can't join a health club only for that price a month. We have tremendous facilities for $43.25 a month. All the clubs have a fee. Every single club out there has a fee. That fee is for that club only. We are paying for the facilities here in Sun City of $525. Membership at the Tempe Pickleball Club indoor courts is $100 a month. In Mesa, those courts are $85 a month. That's a lot more than $43.25 for one sport only. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Oakes, 115074. I just wanted to make a point of clarification that was related to what Lori was bringing up on the indoor pickleball courts. Also a member of the SAC committee, and there is a recommendation that was submitted and is now on our website, RCSC website, that is under the SAC committee, that does indicate there's a recommendation for indoor pickleball courts. So to your point, Lori, it has been considered, it has been recommended, it's now public information. It probably will get discussed at the October 20th meeting.
Thank you.
Evelyn Larson, and my number is 160992, and people have probably thought about this, but it just was an epiphany to me. There was a lot of discussion about outside people should pay more, we shouldn't be subsidizing them. Well, those little punch cards are $2.50 a day for you to bring in your friend to go to the pool, to the walking pool, to go to the pickleball court, to go play tennis. $2.50. You can't get a cup of coffee. You know, maybe that's one of the areas, if you are tight of money, maybe that's one of the areas we need to look at.
Okay, thank you. Any last member comments? Okay.
I'd just like to say that this is the first meeting I've been to that everybody watched the time limit and did good, and you guys all did great.
Thank you for that. And thank you very much, Carol, for taking care of that time for us today. Okay, some announcements were made by directors a little earlier. Are there any more directors with announcements? Okay. Yes, please. Is this what you're... Okay.
I would just like to remind everyone that in the month of November, we have 4 town halls, places where you, the members, can come and talk about long-range planning, budget and finance, the PAC, anything your heart desires. They are going to be facilitated for a short period of time and then turned over to the members, and it's a member-run meeting. We board members have been told we are not allowed to speak. So the dates are listed on the website. I can just briefly say Wednesday, November 8th from 7 to 9 at Fairway, Monday, November 13th from 10 to 12 at Sundial, Tuesday, November 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Mountain View, and Monday, November 20th from 1 to 3 at Sundial. This is one way for you all to get involved and participate.
And I'm sure communications will probably be putting something out to let you know about those dates and times. There are flyers at the back of the room. Okay, that's fantastic. Speaking of meetings, the next board meeting is going to be October 26th here at Sundial at 9 a.m. The next exchange will be on November 6th at 9 a.m. here at Sundial. And the annual member meeting will be November 29th at 6 p.m. in this in Sundial Auditorium here. There being no objections and no further business, I'm sorry? Mr. Herring.
Thank you, President Fimmel. I know it's been a long night, but I did get asked by Director Nichols to make a comment regarding something that was in the management report last month, if I may take a moment.
Please.
In the management report in September, we had a notation regarding a change to the comment card process. We have taken some negative feedback on that, and some of that is rightly deserved. But in that process, we are going to be moving towards an online system that uses both a web browser and a smartphone mobile application to engage better with our cardholders. This will allow cardholders to communicate with us online, if you're doing a comment card, to provide pictures to us, because a picture can tell us quite a bit of information regarding location or condition. And we're in the onboarding process with a provider of this solution. We've chosen a vendor that does community engagement type software. And so we're probably another couple weeks before we're fully onboarded, then we'll start configuring. There'll be some additional information coming out, but I wanted to take this time to at least address that so that you knew that this was coming. There'll be email blasts and additional information, but just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you. Okay. There being no further business and without objection, this meeting is adjourned. Please remember to turn your electronic devices back on.
Steve, no, Steve won by 2 minutes instead of cat.
This is a copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.